is one of my, again, favorite episodes, and it has yet to unfold, really. I
Oh,
am thrilled to welcome back Amanda to the podcast. It's Overflow, and it's halfway through the year, and I'm hoping we're going to talk about something I think beautiful and simple, and maybe surprisingly rare in our busy world, distracted world, and that is reaching out. In a time where we have communication channels like text and Slack and Teams and email and social media and voice notes. I'm getting a lot of voice notes lately. You'd think that connecting would be easier than ever. And yet, sometimes I hear that people feel more disconnected than ever. We're busy. We assume people are fine. We think I'll reach out later. But what if an ordinary act, a simple act of reaching out, a message, a call, a quick check-in is actually one of the most powerful practices humans, leaders, teams might have. So today I'm joined again with Amanda, and we're exploring the art of communicating and connecting in today's world. When to reach out, why those small moments of connection matter more than we think. Welcome back.
hey, so great to be here. Speaking of connecting, I look forward to these because it is a chance. It is a chance to reach out and to connect with you and through you to your listeners. And that is always a good thing.
Truly, truly. And I was going to start the conversation with, can you think of a time, or would you be willing to share when's the last time someone unexpectedly reached out to you?
Oh gosh. Well, unexpectedly, many years ago, I lived in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
And I received a message from a friend in Nova Scotia about a mutual friend who has Alzheimer's and for whom this other friend is putting together a sort of living memorial of the community work that she did, political work that she did. And it was so great to hear from her. We are Facebook friends. I'll call her Jane. We're we are I'll call her Jane. We are Facebook friends, but not in constant touch, but we
Right.
have that long thread of history.
So good.
And so to see her email, it was like, it honestly was a thrill. It's like, oh,
I haven't heard
someone,
from her. I'd love to,
yes,
yeah, connect.
yes, that's right. The news is not all good because our mutual friend, is doing fine, but really is, in my view, suffering with Alzheimer's. So that it was a delight. And it was a delight to see the email, and it was a delight to know that in doing this act of service for our mutual friend, I was to be part of that. And I think that's what communication, that's what connecting does for us. It ties us to something or someone who is important for us or to us.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, what else really matters than being connected to things and to people who are important to us?
Truly, truly. And would you have an example of a time where you've reached out to someone unexpectedly?
Oh, um, well, so completely differently.
Yes.
I back in the pre-social media days, I sent an email to a
Like in the
favorite.
70s? I'm
No,
kidding, Amanda.
not even that long ago. Oh my goodness
Oh
me.
heavens.
Not even that
Kidding,
long
just
ago.
kidding. Playful.
Oh, but that's interesting to think about. Back in the 70s, like
Right.
we really had to be intentional
Yes.
about
Knocking
sort
on
of long
doors
distance.
and
Yes,
yes,
picking up the
driving
telephone.
there and wondering, are they going to be home?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and do you remember calling? Just we couldn't text ahead, will you be there? No, we would just call. And then when we picked that receiver up, we were tied to the physical location of the
Yes.
telephone.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I am dating myself. Whoa. But this particular story is pre-social media, but not pre-email. So a favorite author, she normally writes mysteries. She had written, it was a collection of essays, and she's a bit of a political person, and I had really enjoyed the essays. So I wrote her an email of appreciation, 3 or 4 lines maybe, never really expecting that it would actually arrive at her, at her end,
Yes.
and absolutely not expecting a response.
No.
But she did get the message and she did reply, and it was a lovely short personal message. It didn't come from a robot, it didn't come from an assistant. Wow. My one regret is that I didn't keep it. I didn't print it and keep it, but that it was a thrill and it was a meaningful connection. I
Mm.
had reached out, I had been heard, and I was responded to. And that's the basis of communication, right? Take the risk. Sometimes it's a risk.
Mhm. Mhm.
Take the risk and see what happens.
Mhm.
And wow, that was fantastic.
So good. And so, how do you think we might think about connecting? Like, how to reach out, when to reach out? Because there is an option to email or text or like there's social media messaging.
So there are so many channels,
So
so
many.
many different ways these days. I think back, this is in the 70s when my grandparents lived on the other side of the ocean from us. I
Yes.
was in Canada, they were in Europe. Airmail letters, those blue
Yes.
things that you would fill the aerograms.
Yes.
Whoa, baby, that's a long time ago. And that was the only way. Like, we were not going to pick up the phone and say, hello, Granny. Absolutely not. But a letter worked.
Yes,
These days, and so that was, those letters were precious
they were.
because you had to have the material. It came with a stamp, but you had to take the time, all of that. Like, it took time and effort. I
Hmm.
think maybe that's a distinguishing feature for
Hmm.
meaningful communication, that it should at some level require effort, not effort that breaks you out into a sweat, but the effort of thoughtfulness.
Hmm.
Who am I communicating with? Why am I doing it now?
Hmm.
What of value am I offering them? And I'm thinking of all the newsletters that I have signed up for voluntarily that come flooding into my email. You've got mail. Oh, yippee. Oh, rats. It's just, it's the equivalent of those number 10 white envelopes that used
Yes.
to come into our
Yes.
mailbox.
Yep. Yep.
And the subject line had better be pretty compelling for me to open it. I've recently signed up for some Substack newsletters to try to stay on top of the politics of the day. And oh my goodness, some of these people who were sort of independent news hounds, I'll call them, fascinating analysis, but some of them pump out 2 and 3 newsletters a day, newsletters, Substacks, whatever we call those things.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, oh, buddy, I love your analysis, but honest to Pete, my day isn't long enough to read all of these.
Yes.
So,
Two and three a
they
day.
come in, I scan the headline and I go delete, delete, delete. Has there been a connection made? Well, I see the newsletter name. I know that he's out there busy doing what I've signed up for him to do, which is give me some analysis. But like, frequency is part of being thoughtful about, who's your reader, what can they stand? And of course, we communicate for different reasons.
Yes.
So the news of the day, it's pretty fast moving. So
Right.
I don't blame him for writing 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. But he can't honestly be sitting on his end of the process thinking that everyone who's signed up is going to read every one of his pieces. I can't believe that he does.
Right. Right. I mean, I was thinking about the connecting and I just quickly glanced at your newsletter about anyways, remembering people who have passed away.
Yes.
And so you don't know this, but in thinking about our conversation today, something that's been on my mind and my heart is I've been wanting to reach out to unexpectedly to a friend of the podcast. She was on the podcast. She's a distant, like a little bit more than a Facebook friend, but
Mhm.
Anyways, she's passed away.
Oh my goodness, what a shock that
Passed
is.
away. She's passed away. So Leslie Ann Forbes, who has Forbes voiceover, she passed
Uh,
away. And I know we've just celebrated her 50th or 51st birthday. And
wow.
so, yeah, family members have reached out. And so, on the note of communicating and connecting, thinking about, yeah, it's busy. And I had reached out a couple of times, but she was busy. And so, thinking about, I mean, if that's the nudge that might help me, maybe just if she's on my mind and, reach out again and say, I know you're busy. And so that's been something that has been playing on me. Like, so
Mm.
should I have called? Should I have texted when she was busy? Should I have, picked up the phone? Should I have driven over, knocked on the door? Um, and so, yeah, life is busy and yet is precious that really we don't know what tomorrow holds. And so, what's
That is that, I mean, it's a sad story, and I'm very sorry for that loss.
Mhm.
But it is a really good lesson, isn't it? We think, oh, we have all the time in the world.
We
I mean, I
do.
know,
We do, Amanda.
but the fact is, we haven't. A colleague of mine, of whom I was really quite fond, died to me quite unexpectedly
Right.
before Christmas. Speaking of reaching out to somebody, I his birthday was around Christmas time, and so I would often send him a text. We lived in different provinces,
And
to
remember his
say,
birthday.
yeah,
Yes.
that's right. And so I send the text, um, and he texts back saying, "Call me, it's important." Now, never received a text like that from him before. In any event, he wanted to let me know that he was very seriously ill, and he didn't have a lot of time, and so it really was a goodbye conversation.
Oh, wow.
And I get like chills thinking, would I have known that he then died if I hadn't made that phone call?
Right.
Because I
Right.
wouldn't have been at the top list of his family, at the
No.
top of the list of his family's
Yeah,
connections.
right.
And so I'm very grateful that I did send that. And Kimberly, I have been told sometimes that I over communicate, that I could just, chill a bit. I'm remembering particularly a group project during university days when I would let the group members know that I was doing something, or I wasn't doing something that I'd said I would, but I'd do it tomorrow. And they were like, it's over the top, Amanda. We don't need to know all of that. But excuse me, group members, as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather know that you're on top of it or not than have this emptiness, because the emptiness is like a void. And when we don't know something, we make up the story that we need to fill that void, which is why I prefer to send that text that says, "Hey, your birthday's coming up, how's it going?" Not necessarily expecting a reply, but it opens. That's what communication can do for us. It opens the opportunity for connection.
For
And
connection.
if we don't send that text or write the card or drive across town and knock on the door, that opening doesn't happen. And
Right.
because we are so busy and there is so much stuff coming at us from so many different directions, it's important to be intentional about opening the door to the connections that are important to us.
Truly. Truly. Yeah, I would say like when I lost my dad, so that was 2016. It was a moment that I realized, yeah, we don't know what tomorrow holds because tomorrow could be like when he said, you know what, the cancer's back and this is going to be a year where I'm going to battle for my life. Like one
Mm.
day we were having a big party with him and the next day he was saying the cancer's back. And so we really don't know what tomorrow holds. And so I think the message for today, what I'm taking away and I'm hoping listeners do too, is yeah, Amanda and I are making air quotes, bunny ears with our fingers, right? We're busy. And so,
Yep.
are you busy? And what really matters? What really matters is the connection, the people, um, not the busyness, the social media, even the Slack messages. Like those are articles, and but reaching out to a friend to say, I know it's your birthday and I'm thinking of you. I hope you have a great year. that those connections, because that's when we can have a conversation or say our goodbyes. Those are the moments.
Yes, and maybe be taken into confidence about something that is happening in that person's life that is important, that is maybe too difficult for them to broach with you.
Right.
But if you create that opening, then they will share that with
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
right? It's yeah, it is busyness. Honest to Pete, if at the end of the day we are we are so busy that we can't take the what 10 seconds to send a text. And these days, honestly, a text is as good as a letter used to be in the mail.
Hmm.
I think. Like, I don't need to get, it's lovely to get a birthday card in the mail, sure, but it's being remembered.
Hmm.
That's what really matters,
Hmm.
right? I think. I think.
Were we talking about this? Where were we? Where was I talking about this? And it was like where you say being remembered. It's like being a witness to my life.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yes, because without that connection, without that open door, we are, in fact, we're ships passing in the night,
truly.
and we're strangers on the same path.
Hmm.
And I mean, I suppose that's fine. That's not fine for me. I
Right.
want to make connections.
Right.
Yeah, because one day we do die,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And some of us die after a long, good life, and it's reasonable.
Hmm.
And sometimes we are taken well before then. And it's sad to not have had that connection, not to have made the effort to make
Hmm.
the connection,
Hmm.
to be remembered, and yeah, to connect.
Yeah, to connect. It's like making a list, the high achievers that I work with, I can see them, making the list and they're making the list of all the things to do at work, all the things. And when you said, well, it's important to me, as you reflected just there. And
Hmm.
so is connecting with someone, or if there's someone in particular, or with people, if that is important to you, is that on your to-do list? And where is it on your to-do list? Is it near the top? Is it in the A's or is it down like at the bottom of the list? And at the end of the day, it is about our connections and our friendships and making sure people know we love them or we care about them, we thought about them. Yeah, so I love the conversation today around the power of communication and connection. And so it can be a text, it can be a voice note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm thinking I recently went to a celebration of life service for a neighbor a man whom I knew only as a neighbor, and his children gave what we would call a eulogy, and I learned so much about him, the work that he did, the connections that he made, the meaningful father he was to his stepsons. And it reminded me that at the end of our life, no matter when it is that we die, surely to goodness, what we want is a tapestry of stories about meaningful connections with others. Certainly that's my hope, that when it's all over and done for me, people will say, I felt connected
Yeah.
to Amanda because of whatever it is.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I do believe that it's you and me making a connection that really matters. What we produce, or the awards that we get, or the money in the bank, like whatever, the end of
Yes.
the day, it's the warmth and the live connection, the thread between us.
Yes. Yeah, the people, the people. I hope we will have released the podcast by now of Emma and I talking, and this woman she's a spark of adventure. She
Oh.
really is. Like as I speak to her, she has this, just as she works professionally, as she's a mom, like in her youth,
Mm.
she just has this spark of adventure. And I was saying, I don't have that. I don't have that spark of adventure that she does. I admire it. I'm witnessing it. I can see it. I'm inspired by it. So when you say a tapestry of stories, that part of me that's like seeking being an adventurer is like, oh, I would love on my tapestry of stories to
Ah.
be have some stories to tell that would be, the adventures we had, the
Well, let me just shift the paradigm a bit because an adventure doesn't have to be skydiving or moonwalking. An
okay.
adventure can be launching a podcast that puts stories out into the world that make connections with people.
Oh, thank
Kimberly,
you.
come on.
Thank
I think that's so important. And it goes to exactly the theme that we're talking about, communicating and connecting. It's it's got nothing to do with Emma. I don't know Emma.
No.
Adventures. Um, like we think too easily that an adventure is, skiing down the Black Diamond slopes.
Yes.
Not my adventure, sister. Never will be.
I
That's a cool
love your
adventure.
perspective, Emma. Emma. Now I'm calling you Emma. Amanda, that's
It's
why you're
fine.
here. That's why you're here to shift my perspective and the power of your words and the power of my words that you're noticing.
Absolutely. Yes. So you don't need to go on the adventures. Great. I love to hear those stories, and I am inspired by that.
Hmm.
But at my age,
Yes.
heading towards 70 in a few years, I'm not seduced by like by that kind of danger.
Right.
But for me, honestly, Kimberly, for me, my adventure is continuing to do my writing, putting it out into the world, seeing what happens with it. There is a risk involved in that. I feel vulnerable. That's my adventure. And your adventure, from my perspective, is everything that you do in your professional sphere and this podcast that we are on together that wouldn't exist but for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, congratulations.
Oh, shucks. I really needed that. Thank you very much.
But it's true, and I think it goes to communication.
Hmm.
Communication, connection doesn't need to be huge. I don't need a birthday cake with 66 candles on it. It's a text that says, thinking of you, remembering your 50th, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what counts for me.
Hmm.
That's what's important.
Hmm.
So it's also about knowing your reader, knowing your audience. So if you are a leader in a business, maybe I'm not suggesting that you personalize things for every person in your business,
Right.
but I think it is important to be clear about why are you doing it.
Hmm.
If you are communicating and connecting, using those bunny ear quotes again, because you are supposed to,
Hmm.
maybe save the time. But if you can find it in your heart and your head to be curious and to want to make a connection with the people around you, then go for it. And no matter what it is that you do, I think this is a case where the intention will outweigh whatever it is that you might get wrong along the way.
Hmm. Hmm.
Human kindness, like connecting, is a form of human kindness if it's done for the right reasons, which
Right.
is you're a human being and I am, and we're in this together. So
Well, that's it.
let's create this little moment.
That's exactly it. Like I do often think about with leaders and teams, like help them just remember that, yeah, we're all having a human experience. And we often in leadership talk about the iceberg. And so, yeah, the person that you see showing up to work is the tip of the iceberg. And you might not know what's playing on their heart or weighing on their mind or the struggles they're having or the sleep they had last night. And we don't have to get into it all, but connecting, having an appreciation for that person's values or what might be weighing on them, though in those moments, that's what's going to gain engagement and loyalty, and the team is going to be more successful because they understand we're all humans and some of us have good days and sometimes there's bad days and some need a moment and respecting that, trying to connect with the individual. I mean, we all have work to do. We're here to and we're paid
Yep.
to accomplish the
Yep.
work. Um, but yeah, I think there is something about taking the time, and maybe I'm hoping with this podcast episode too, I'm hoping we might shift the concept of busy. Are you busy or are you just distracted? Are you distracted or have you not prioritized? Because I wish I had have reached out to my friend Leslie.
Yeah.
And so, gosh, like, and you kind of like, at this point you can't take it back. Like, and so if that's important,
No, we don't get a do-over for
no,
that. But
no,
I will say, Leslie is gone, and
hmm
I don't know the circumstances. I don't nothing about her personal life. But
no,
if she has a family,
yes,
it's definitely not too late to
hmm
connect with a family and to tell a story about your friendship with
yes,
Leslie, because
yes,
that will be endlessly meaningful for the family.
right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that.
So just a tiny story, because I think communication and connection is to a large extent about being seen by someone. And
Right.
years ago, when I was in the corporate world working in communications, um, back in the day when we were at our desks working, for sure, I would sometimes go down to the convenience store in the building, and I would get I I hardly dare say it publicly, a can of Coca-Cola and a Mars bar.
Okay.
Can you imagine the sugar in that? Oh my God, I shudder. I shudder to think, but that is what I did. Um, and one day I came back to my desk from lunch. It was not one of these sugar runs that I had been on. And there on my desk was a can of Coke and a Mars bar.
A gift.
And
Oh,
I thought,
heavens.
wow. And it was one of the executive who said, well, I know that you do this, you go for that sometimes. So, there you go. And I thought, wow, A, that was very nice. B, it was unexpected. And C, he knew exactly what the sweet spot was for me. And I remember it. I remember it to this day, and that must be 20 plus years ago.
Wow. Something so simple and like less than
And please,
$5.
yes, forget about that it was a Coke and a Mars bar. Please, God, forget that. Strike that.
We're not going
But
to, that's going to be the title of the episode, A Coke and a
okay,
Mars bar.
I love it. I love it. But it's the gesture. It is the connection. And it is memorable. It is memorable. So when you're at your desk thinking, maybe you send out a Substack or a newsletter, or you do something to connect with your clientele, with your customers, whoever it is that forms the outer circle of your business. Maybe it's to your employees. Think about, what is it of value that I might offer them? Because Kimberly, what I find hard to take in my inbox is when there is routine stuff that is put into a newsletter, because I have to get a newsletter out. I know I have to communicate, so here's the newsletter. Poof,
Right.
checked off the list. I don't need 17 sections. Give me one thing that's of value that you think is valuable.
Mhm.
Because if you think it's valuable and I've signed up for the newsletter, probably it will be valuable for me too.
Right. Right. I love it's like the simplicity in the connection. Like, let's not make it complicated, but there's sincerity. Um, yeah, let's just think of a few sort of, if this was a challenge out to listeners across the globe, the ripple effect you're creating here today. Um, so what comes to mind for me is what I've said is like really prioritizing so that I don't have any regrets, like prioritizing of all the to-do list things where you're thinking, I do all these business tasks and activities and to-do lists and all the things. And then at the bottom is don't forget there's people's birthdays. And so really maybe shifting that to the top because it's important to me, because connection is important to me, because I
Yes.
love this idea of a tapestry of stories at the end of the day. I love that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So one challenge might be to prioritize connection, so that you don't have any regrets on your to-do list. And I like what you're offering here right now, which is what value might I offer? And so I don't hear you saying $1 million in value. Like it could be a chocolate bar that is their favorite, just to say, I see you. I'm witnessing, your good day or your bad day, and I see you,
Yes.
I recognize you, and I cherish, I value you and thank you. So in the moment of less than $5. So the challenge is, what value might I offer that is, I'm hearing you say, like simple, sincere,
Hmm.
and truly connecting? What other challenges would you put out? Anything else come to mind?
I think if we're thinking in a business context, which is sort of the paradigm that I'm thinking about in
Hmm.
this very moment, um, I think it is a big challenge in order to be remembered to our readers, to our client base, to our customers. We do need to put ourselves in front of them, because if we don't, somebody else is going to get there, and I want to be there first, right? I want them to think of me rather than the competitor in relation to whatever it is that I'm offering. So I think that the question of frequency is a big one. And I think that we sometimes shy away from hitting send or putting something together that we deliver that would be communication, because we think, oh, they don't need to hear from us. They hear from so many people. I don't want to just be clutter in the inbox.
100%. I've
And
totally thought
so,
that. I've totally
oh,
thought that.
oh,
I'm totally with you. That's exactly it. Because we're all talking about, in my circles, we're all talking about leadership and coaching and communication and emotional intelligence and the
yes.
brain, the brain information. That's exactly it. Yeah, you're on to me.
Okay, so I think the challenge then becomes what is your secret sauce? What is going to make me look forward to hearing from you? And only you can answer that.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me the. My pen is ready, Amanda. What?
So here's the deal, and I say this without any credentials or qualifications at all to say it, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with the business that you're involved with. Because I think we have so many options. I can order from here, I can get coaching from there, I can read this mystery or that book. At some level, it's kind of all the same, except for that one tiny portion that is uniquely and only you.
Key.
And I think the big challenge is to determine what is that? What is that? What am I putting out into the marketplace, whatever the marketplace is, that that makes it uniquely coming from me. So the blog that I write, that I put something onto every Tuesday, I called it 5 years a writer because I was giving myself 5 years to sort of evolve into the identity of writer, which I'm happy to say I'm comfortably sitting in. So
Congrats.
that's good. My blog doesn't have a topic or a theme. So I might write about my mother who died 2 years ago. I might write about my cat. I might write about the politics of the day. It's usually nonfiction. And so I will ask readers, like I'm all over the map. And to a reader, they have said, look, what I like is that I don't ever know what's going to land in my inbox,
Wow.
but I know it's coming from you and it has your voice. Wow. Okay. So that's my secret sauce, air quotes. Um, And that's the other thing. Like, ask your readers, ask your clients. I want to connect with you once a month. What might I offer you that will be so valuable that you will read what I send you once a month?
Mhm.
Ask, ask, because you might be pleasantly surprised at what comes back to you that will give you clarity for how to proceed.
Mhm. That point, you started out by saying, we were talking about the frequency, and I felt like you were nudging me and the listeners today to be brave, like
Hmm.
to have a voice, to write
Yes,
the article, to put it out
yes,
there. Um, and then, yeah, there's my uniqueness. Each of us have a uniqueness and a story to tell, experiences that are unique to us, so on whatever the topic is. And that's what you're calling the secret sauce. And you're
Yes.
sort of ending with, so you're going to need to be brave and ask, what is it that you enjoy? Or understand the feedback that if it's not connecting with people. And so
Hmm. Hmm.
there's a sense of courage there too in asking for the feedback, asking for what people.
And and there's also courage in believing
Ooh,
that you have something to offer that is unique.
mhm.
And anyone who has started a
So
business,
good.
whether it has grown into a big thing or whether it has remained a single shingle or a small, proprietorship, whatever, we have to believe that. We have to believe that our offering is valuable. Otherwise, why do we get up in the morning to do it?
So good.
And that is brave, and that is brave every day. And in addition to doing that, it's what somebody said, you have to not only work in the business, doing what you're doing, you have to work on the business.
Yes.
And communication for me is an absolute cornerstone of that working on the business.
Hmm.
So I think consistency is really important. If I sign up for a newsletter, I'll step back. So for me, it's in the writing world that I operate.
Yes.
So I'm always interested in signing up for newsletters from writers whose work I appreciate. If when I go to their sign up, they say, sign up for my occasional newsletter, I think, oh my goodness, somebody's told you that that you need a newsletter. So you're offering me the opportunity to sign up for a newsletter, but you haven't actually
Committed
committed to
to be
providing anything
consistent.
of value because it's only going to be occasional.
Right. Right.
So some people say to me, how on earth do you do it, Amanda? You put up a new post, you do some original writing every week.
Right.
And honestly, for me, the answer is I do an original piece of writing every week because I've committed to my readers and to myself that I will post something every Tuesday. It is a self-fulfilling kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I created the blog because I wanted somewhere for my writing to go. I established some readers, and then I committed every Tuesday I'm going to put something out. And come hell or high water, my mother being ill or
Yes.
dying or whatever, I have
There
posted
was a
something.
message.
So it provides that I can't quite think of the word. It's like a draw. It's momentum. It's a commitment.
It is a commitment.
And it's a commitment I made to myself first, in all honesty, and to my readers by extension.
Mhm.
So consistency and short. A lot of the Substack newsletters that I sign up for go on and on, and I scream at the screen and say, I don't have time for this. They're beautiful words. And by word, 738, I'm done because I have 14 other things I want to read.
Well, right. Right. I
So be
mean,
consistent, keep it short, and be consistent, by the way.
courageous, consistent.
Ah, well, and then if you want another C, you could use concise.
So this is where we might have to end. In anticipation for this, I typed in, oh, I wonder if I still have it now. I typed in the internet, in Mr. Google here, I typed in what is effective communication?
Okay.
And would you believe, courage is not on the list, but Google helped me find an article, and it was the seven C's
Oh,
of
yes.
communication.
Okay.
These are them. I mean,
Lay it on me.
this is Google. We don't have to abide by them because I think we're creating our own list here. Clarity,
Yes.
completeness.
Yes.
They're actually the seven C's. Did I say that? Seven C's.
7. Okay.
Okay. Clarity, completeness, conciseness,
Yeah.
concreteness,
Hmm.
courtesy,
Ah.
correctness,
Mm.
consideration.
Okay. Correctness in this sense probably refers to correct grammar.
It does say that free from errors, both in terms of
Yes.
content and language. Correctness
Right.
not only enhances credibility, but it also avoids confusion and
Yes,
misinterpretation.
for sure. Yeah.
hmm hmm But I
Well, there
think
you
we're
go.
adding in consistency and courage. And
Yes,
courage is
those
sort
are,
of at the top and the bottom.
yes,
Courage to
yes.
write, courage to ask for feedback, courage to continue, like courage to use your unique voice.
Hmm.
And I think there should
Courage
be
is,
something about connectedness as well. Like there's
well,
concrete, concise, completeness.
that might be the umbrella C that goes across the top because it's all about connection, isn't it? Like connection,
Well
the
said.
the the yes, I think the need, the interest, the commitment to connection
Yes,
drives what it is that you then do.
right, right.
And I really like your addition of courage. I think that in this day and age where there is so much information, there is so much available to us,
Yes,
it is courageous to believe that what I have to offer you
right.
is of sufficient value that you should give me some of your very precious time.
hmm hmm Yeah, and even the I would add another word, conviction to think about whether it's a blog or whether it's a message of I'm thinking of you today or I'm calling you today because I thought of you and I well wishes or knowing that like having the conviction in me that this text or this phone call no now she knows I'm thinking of her like that I'm
Yeah.
connected to her or that I'm wishing her well like because again it could be in all the things that are going on. I'm not even sure she's going to notice that I didn't call or that I didn't message or
Yeah.
she's probably busy and I don't want to intrude, and so having the
Oh,
courage to
and doesn't that
call and
stop us from
Mhm.
reaching out?
It
Oh,
does, it
yes,
does,
exactly.
it
Yeah,
does.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want to be a
And then,
bother. And, of all the people, why would she want to hear from me? And so I think having the
yeah,
conviction and the courage, right? Like having that fire in you to go and say, hey, I was thinking of you, or I miss you in my life, or it's important that we stay connected, even if it is every birthday. It's important to me. So just sharing that, like,
and that is consistency. If we
yeah, that's
connect every
consistency.
year on our birthday, that is consistency that works within the context of that relationship.
That's
That's
right.
completely fine.
Mhm,
Completely fine. Yes.
mhm, mhm.
Kimberly, there's a whole other side to this that could be a whole other podcast, and that is replying, responding. Because I think that's one of the things maybe that stops us, especially in more intimate relationships, maybe stops us from sending that message because maybe we're not completely sure where we stand in the relationship. And if I send a text, does that make her uncomfortable? How is she gonna respond? And
It
so, I mean,
happens,
that
it
is,
happens in leadership, right? Where we want to convey a message that bothers me or that's not what I expected, and you're worried. Often the
uh,
leader is worried, well, how are they going to reply? Well, this is business, and so I often wear the business hat. I love people and I love engaging in
mhm.
difficult conversations. They call it difficult conversations sometimes,
Yes, yes,
um,
yes,
because often we are holding back because we're worried about their reply. Yet it's our business, or it's our mission, or it's our
yes.
goal, and we have others working on our team, and we haven't said anything. And yeah, there's something about yes, that person may reply, and they may reply from their uniqueness and their experiences and their, past and all the things that are under that big iceberg of them, as being a human. And from my point of view, as long as at the heart of your intention of the communication is to get to a better place, to solve a problem, to resolve a conflict, um, then I say enter into the conversation knowing that there's a more beautiful, might not be your perfect, it might not be their perfect, like there may be some negotiation and where we end up resolving. um but you know me, I'm always up for the conversation, like let's dig in, roll up our sleeves, let's dig in, because I believe there's rainbows and butterflies on the other side. There's got to be that's the
Oh,
positivity in
yes,
me.
yes, yeah. Well, and listen, it works. It works for you. That is authentically you and you bring that into the conversation.
Yes.
I think, I do not want to suggest that difficult conversations are easy or
No.
simple.
Right.
They are not. And they are
No.
not precisely because there is the sender and the receiver. And the receiver does not always get the message as the sender intended
Intends.
it. Because there's
Yes.
all this noise in the receiver's head, especially if the receiver knows or suspects that something might be coming from the leader, right? Then there's a lot of noise that will disrupt that
Actual
original
message.
message.
That's
And
right.
so then it does become very complicated. And the receipt of the sender's message, that's difficult.
Yes.
That is difficult
Yes. Yeah.
and requires really big time emotional intelligence and communicative competence
Yeah.
skills
Respect. Yes.
that not everybody has. And that's where it can really fall down.
Right.
But that is, I think, a different
Yeah.
that's a different episode.
I mean, and so our conversation continues. Like, thank you sincerely for bringing, I would say, you know, um, challenges. But
Mhm.
when you bring the challenge, you bring, I feel like you bring your pencil case with you. So you have different tools, different ideas that you're willing to share or that you and I are willing to push and pull. So thank you for bringing the topic of conversation, the challenge, and some like, this is what I'm doing and this is how I feel, and being open to listening to me and to challenging me. And I mean, I'm going to have to go and reflect on my sense of adventure in terms of starting a podcast.
Oh, yes. And have you ever been interviewed about it? Like, have you interviewed yourself or asked somebody to interview you? Because aren't haven't you been doing this for at least 2 years?
Well, it started in 2020, if you can imagine.
More than
Yes.
that. Wow.
Yes, but there has been ups and downs, as in lots of episodes
Sure.
and some pauses on episodes. So
Yeah.
I'll let you think on that. Maybe that's what we do on our next conversation, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you for being
Kimberly,
here. I mean,
hey,
sincerely.
well, thank you for always offering the opportunity for a conversation
Yes,
that inevitably is stimulating for me as well. I hope that as you and I talk, the listeners are also, fired up with their own ideas, because certainly I leave with far greater energy than I arrived. Thank you for that.
for sure. Thank you.